All right, good evening, everyone, and welcome to Green White Checker TV. It is the second to last race of the season, and we are here at New Hampshire Motor Speedway. I always call it Loudon, but some people didn't agree with that, so we went with New Hampshire Motor Speedway here tonight. 125 laps is our race distance. And I say not a huge field here tonight, so I think about 12 drivers, maybe 13 drivers, if I'm not mistaken. So I say a lot of room for these drivers to work. I say this is definitely one of the more challenging tracks for these open wheel cars, but I know that these guys are going to definitely give it their all here tonight, because of course the main thing tonight is going to be the second to last race. So we're talking championship now. It's time for that. So we'll pull up those points going into tonight's race. And again, there are 2 drop weeks, so these are kind of, you'll see there on the side there, you see the races counted over on that third column. So basically, for instance, you see Christopher, he's run all 10 races up to this point, but it's only showing his best 8. Nick DeGroot, he's run 9 of the 10, showing his best 8. However, Bruno Miranda, he's missed 2 races, so basically all his races are all he has. So he basically doesn't have any more drop weeks, basically the way it's set up. So whatever he gets is what he's got. For example, Nick DeGroot, maybe he doesn't have a great race. That could turn into his drop week, and it's going to be all the way through Indy. So it's really going to open up the potentials of who our champion's going to be. But right now I'm going to say probably a 3-horse race. Chris a little bit on the outside looking in, but I kind of like that for Chris because now it's just no pressure. He can just kind of just go and be aggressive and kind of make Nick and Bruno have to maybe play a little bit of defense, maybe take less risks, and maybe he can try to take advantage of it that way. And we will finish up the season next week, and they'll be at the Indianapolis Motor Speedway. So that's, of course, going to be a lot of fun to see those drivers, and I'm pretty sure it's going to bring a bunch of drivers out because, again, that's the track, obviously, for these cars. So it's going to be a lot of fun. So I will be, just a moment, we will be bringing in my esteemed colleague. So we'll get him here in just a moment. Fuel window.
I am here. Hello.
Oh, he is there. There you go, Mr. Andrew Wood. And so Andrew, we talked about the fuel window while we were kind of getting prepped and hearing 45 to 55 laps window. I don't know if anybody's going to be able to stretch it to the point of maybe one stopping it, but I think as difficult as this track is, probably going to see a couple yellows, even with the smaller field, just because this track's tough to race on your own. It's really tough to race when you're trying to find ways around people. This is one you have to make a lot of adjustments for, I feel like.
Yeah, this is one of those tracks where it's very short, it's very hectic, it's very quick. With a short field tonight, chances of cautions really mixing things up are pretty low, I would imagine. Once everything gets kind of strung out, then it's just a matter of keeping it off the wall once your tires start to wear a bit. But anything's possible. I would say one stop is pretty much out of the question if we're looking at 45 to 50 laps. You have to really commit to it and go very slow. And you lose about 2 laps here when you make a pit stop, maybe like a lap and 3/4 or so. So I think the one stop is out of the question. Everyone's going to be stopping twice. So we'll actually see a distance tonight where people may be going for it right off the bat. This track is so different on both sides between 1 and 2 and 3 and 4. I actually attended this race when the Indy cars did their experiment back in 2011. That's a very famous race for many people.
The all-wheel power double bird.
Yes, and I mean, I was there for the whole rain situation. It was such a weird experience that it was raining, but the track wasn't really getting wet kind of thing. We don't have to worry about that tonight, despite the fact that there's rain on iRacing now. But yeah, this is one of those races where I think things can be a little different. This is such a different experience to these 1.5 mile ovals and the big ovals. So I'm very interested to see what happens here.
No, it's going to be a lot of fun to see how this race plays out. And with that, qualifying just has completed, and we got to pull up our starting grid for tonight. And it will be our points leader on the pole here tonight. That is going to be Bruno Miranda there by about 2/10 over Gary Laverne. So a great qualifying lap by Bruno. Nick DeGroot, again, he is second in points. He starts in third. Then you got Alan Moreira, Craig Forsyth, our top 5. Then you got Yari Brupacher, Jim Herrick, Eric Peterson, Edson Santos, William Swenson, Andrew, I know you're here, but not racing tonight. Christopher, so you're going to do a solid though for Christopher because he's going to have a clear pit exit, so he's going to be thanking you for being in there. And then after Chris, though, you've got Matt Wagner and Bill Culley. So about looks like eighth. No, I'm sorry. Looks like about 12th on back opted not to go ahead and put down a qualifying lap. So I say that's just maybe some drivers maybe didn't get as many practice laps as they wanted to. It's like, you know what, let's roll back, be a little bit safer. I know Chris said he was going to be in pretty late, but he was able to make it in, which is great. That's what you hope to see. But it's going to be fun though. As I say, we got the top 2 championship guys going to be lined up nose to tail here on that inside line.
Yeah, another great qualifying from Gary Lovern. He's definitely learned a lot this season. Kind of was a mid-pack sort of guy. He's trying his luck out in the Indy Elite Series now, the Open Setup Series that I also take part in. So he's kind of putting his feelers out everywhere. He must be one of those situations where he's really enjoying the car. He seems to be getting his feet wet elsewhere and just being a sponge for everything. So that's a great qualifying. Although being on the outside part of the front row is always kind of a taxing situation when you have to figure out when the guy on the inside's going. You can't necessarily see. So we'll have to see how he handles that. That'll be a new challenge for him.
Yeah, and that's a good point is the fact that I always feel like if you're up front, it's better to start third than second because, like I said, you can kind of roll off the leader.
100%.
So, yeah, no, I'm with you on that one. So, like I said, Field going to roll off here, get their warm-up lap in, and then we will be underway. And, yeah, so like I said, should be a 2-stop race. I'll be curious to see. I really don't think we'll see anybody take that gamble and maybe try to split it evenly. I think it's just, like I said, too risky, especially with the potential of going 2 laps down during that pit stop cycle because, I think that's going to be a tough one to swallow. So I think these guys probably going to stretch it and then pit once they're in the window. But I was hearing there is definitely going to be some tire wear. Sounds like basically your tires are at the best around lap 3 or 4. And then from there, they start to kind of fall off. And I think that's the next thing here too, Andrew, is they got to be careful on this first couple laps because those tires aren't going to have the temperature and pressure. That's going to make it really tight, I think, especially in turn 3 on the opening lap.
We got one pace lap here or 2? I can't remember.
I think 1. I think we're going to see the pace car duck off here in just a moment. And sure enough, yep, there it goes. So we're going to switch over to our starter. Initial start always on the green flag, double file. And then from then on, leader controls it. And we are underway 125 laps here tonight at New Hampshire Motor Speedway.
This is definitely another one of those races where the green flag waves and everyone's kind of daydreaming. No one really went on the start there. If we had Eric Schaus around, he'd be passing 7 cars by now. But yeah, we're very clean through turn 1. This is definitely a track position race where you can just feed the dirty air to the car behind on purpose or not on purpose and hold it up, hold it out on the outside. So yeah, we got Gary about to lose second place here, perhaps, unless he keeps the outside going. But Bruno is already gone.
Yeah, Nick on throttle really well there out of 2, and that's the thing is, like you said, like again, you watch a lot of these races on the stock car side of things versus the open wheel. Stock cars, they're pretty much maybe at the seam, if you will. That's kind of where you want to run the bottom. These guys, they're rim riding it almost. You'll see them kind of more in the darker gray, if you will, because it is slightly progressive banking, so that little bit extra banking does a ton for these cars. But you're right, though. The dirty air is going to be a big factor here, and that's going to let Bruno kind of be in the catbird seat here. So that's where qualifying is so important here tonight.
And we talk about every week how important it is to be on top of your weight jacker, your roll bars. You know, rim riding is one thing, but these cars wear tires so fast that if you ride the outside line for as long as you would like to because you feel that's the fastest line, your right front tire is going to completely fall apart. So it's such a battle to A, find clean air, and B, really try to find the fastest way around the track while also keeping your tires intact. So it's such a difficult balancing act because you want to just stay where you feel like your car is fast, but the car won't be fast after 15 laps.
Yeah, so everybody did a great job that initial stints there. And right now I've been watching Eric and Craig here. They've been kind of bouncing back and forth between positions. And right now, actually, Eric's had a couple spots gained from where he started 8th to 6th, so a good start for him. Matt Wagner, we talked about, he started, didn't qualify, so he's starting a fair bit further back. He's up 4 spots now up into the 9th spot, but he's got Christopher here. It looks like trying to challenge for that spot. Won't get it yet, but looks like he should be able to clear here entering 3. And you're right there. You can see there he wanted to make sure he got as high as he could safely to not be able to kind of, like I said, not get pinned to that bottom.
Yeah, I'm watching the Eric Peterson, Craig Forsyth battle for P5, and as I mentioned before, like Eric wants that bottom line as best he can, but the problem in turn 1 and 2 is there's a tiny bit of a flat, like almost an apron style entry there, and if you touch the paint the wrong way, and the right side of your car is a little bit offset, as you see, he may have just cleared Craig here. Eric is doing a much better job of saving his right front, so if he clears Craig, then he can start to take that outside line that everyone prefers. But that's a really great drive to stay so committed to the bottom line like that, especially when it could be dangerous based on the progressive banking on the track.
Yeah, no, you're exactly right. But no, he did a really good job, like you said, and that's going to bring now Jari Brubacher, Jim Herrick into that mix as well. Right now, looking at lap times as well, we'll actually switched over from the gaps to the last lap time so you can see what these drivers are running. And right now, you've got pretty much, other than Bruno, Eric Peterson, actually, he did run a 22-second lap, but otherwise everybody else pretty much in the 23s already. So yeah, so it looks like some really good pace out of that 36 here early on.
It's definitely one of those kind of tracks, as I've been mentioning a few times now, where you want to try and wear both of the right side tires down nice and easy, and it's such a hard thing to do. But the clean air is what really keeps your tires balanced the most, because you're not putting extra wheel in to find clean air and everything. So Bruno's looking really pretty right now out front. He doesn't have much traffic to worry about at all. And with the shortened field tonight, there's not going to be a lot of traffic to encounter later on in the race. But yeah, you see Nick DeGroot behind him taking that second lane around turn 1 and 2. That's well below the progressive banking begins. So they're taking care of their tires the best they can out front. So I imagine Nick may try to see if he can close up to the back of Bruno. Last lap, Bruno ran a 23 flat, as did Nick. So they're on the same pace right now. So Bruno's not necessarily going to run away with this.
Yeah, so I had to go back a few cars because this has been a really good fight here. Well, like you said, initially it was with Eric and Craig. Now Yari's added to the mix. Christopher's worked his way up. Now he is up into the 8th position. It looks like he's found some pretty good pace here early on. Now, Chris, let's actually hop on board with him because, yeah.
I think Jari just got a little too much weight jacker in turn 3 and 4. He saved it, though.
So let's go back. We'll take a look at that because that was close here for Jari. So we'll jump to the right car there, and we'll go back at speed, and you see how low he was. But, oh, man, big bobble, great catch there. And probably the happiest person about that save was Christopher, because that was very, very close to a really bad time for him. So, and that's, like you said, that's the danger of running as low as he was. I think it just probably upset that car's balance a little bit. And they say, you see now he's worked his way right back up to the top here, while Christopher now is trying to put some pressure back on Craig to get just outside the top 5.
I don't know what Craig is doing necessarily, since we talked about that fuel strategy, and as we talk about every week, Craig is a fuel save master. He has fallen, about 3 seconds behind Eric right now, so all indications seem to me that he's saving fuel. I don't think that the one stop is possible, but the fact that Chris and Jari have been all over him as Chris peeks to the inside here, I think Craig is up to something here.
Yeah, again, it's a smaller field. There's a good chance that this thing could go flag to flag. So again, we talked about 125 laps. So magic number for that should be about 63 laps per tank. So we were talking about 45 to 55 being the window. That's 8 laps is a lot to try to make up here. But yeah, if Craig stays dedicated, maybe like I said, maybe running a fuel map 4 or 5, or even just maybe even switching the maps through the turns. I know he's done that a lot at Dover's, one of those tracks. He told me years ago where he would run map 1 in the straights, go to map 5 in the turns, and kind of just every lap, every turn be doing that. So he knows how to do. Jim had a little bobble there off of too. But yeah, so no, he's definitely one that can do it. However, we're going to jump up here to Alan Moreira because you talk about Eric Peterson. Like I said, this is, I think, Eric, one of the quicker cars here so far. Like I said, and again, he's really one of the lowest running cars and doing a great job with it.
Yeah, it's one of those things where you find the right weight jacker setting, the right roll bar. If the car feels like it's responding very well to it, you're not going to change it, especially if the car that's battling with you is stealing the air on the outside. So it's working for Eric now. I just worry about his right front coming down to the second lane there, lap after lap. It's always something you could adjust later. It's better to ruin the right front going down to the bottom early than later just rim riding, because you could easily transition to that. I was going to quickly mention on the Craig Forsyth thing that he's now about 10 seconds behind Bruno. So you lose about a lap and a half here on fuel, and if you're committing to a fuel safe strategy, you can't speed up or you can't do anything to make that time back up again. So if Craig is going to commit to it, he's going to commit to it. That's what he's doing. But Bruno with a two-stopper, let's just play the roll out here that's what Craig is doing. Bruno's going to have fresh tires, one more full time than Craig does. So I don't know if the race win would be in play here, but it could be a podium for Craig if he keeps doing what he's doing.
And so an interesting thing I just noticed was, say we talk about the tire wear and everything like that. I think Christopher, he's been taking really good care of his tires, because this last time by he ran a 23.22. The lap before that, actually, he ran his best lap of the race, 23.11. So he's done a good job.
Just
I
did
think.
a 17 there as well.
Yeah, so I mean, he's running. I say actually right now the top 7 drivers are all within about 100th or so of each other lap wise. Nick was at 4/400ths of a second quicker than Bruno, so again, still a long ways to go on that one. But actually, Nick's got a little bit of pressure coming. It looks like from Gary and Alan, and like I said, Eric's not too far behind there as well. So Alan is always one I've kind of pointed at. I feel like especially at the big tracks, I feel like he is really good at the long runs. I don't know how he is here at New Hampshire, but I didn't mention though tonight, Andrew, is track temperature. It's 119 degrees, so it's definitely a toasty track here, and that's just going to exacerbate the exasperate. I don't know, words are hard.
Exacerbate.
Yeah, there you go. Exacerbate. That's the word I'm looking for. So it's just going to make that tire wear even a little worse. So that's going to be, again, another thing for that tire management we just talked about. Here goes Yari working on Craig now for the 8th position.
Yeah, I've been watching Eric Peterson like a hawk. I'm really interested in exactly what lines he's taking. And as you see now in 1 and 2, he's up to the 3rd lane now. So I think that right front tire is starting to scream a little bit, but there's still clean air from where he is because Alan's running the wall, basically.
Yeah, that's how I say. There's rim riding, then there's what Alan's doing there.
So as Eric is climbing up the track a tiny bit, but he is still finding clean air, which is helpful. But he is starting to drop back a tiny bit from Alan as he drops down to the 2nd lane there. So, yeah, we're about, halfway through the stint now? Yeah, a little more than halfway if we're going on the 45 to 55 fuel strategy. So, yeah, these tires are going to start screaming a little bit. But, yeah, you mentioned before that Nick is getting possibly under pressure from Gary and Alan soon. And as I mentioned earlier in the broadcast here, that the track position does everything it can do to keep you up front. So Gary is doing an awesome job hanging out in 3rd place there, and Alan's not able to jump to his outside at all. So good job on Gary for qualifying up front, and if it keeps going as it is, he'll get himself a good finish.
Yeah, so right now it's Christopher who's been able to jump the 6 spots from 12th to 6th at the moment. And then, like I said, Eric Peterson up 3 spots, and then also Matt Wagner. Matt's kind of, I mentioned him early about getting a couple spots early, but then it's kind of just settled in there, and he's right now just in that 10th position. So, like I said, this track's definitely its own animal, but we talk about traffic, though. It's already starting to happen here. Bruno's already, you see right there, he's going to make a sharp left there to sneak underneath William Swenson. And saying this is one of those ones, like I said, also, I don't think the lappers are going to give him too hard of a time, because, again, I think these guys are kind of having their own battles. There's a little puff of dust there, as I think Bruno is just flirting with the wall there. But right there, though, just that little bit of traffic, though, 23.55, about 3/10 slower than what he'd been doing. Oh, see Bill Colley there just caught the wall off of 2. That's actually going to be a big break. Bill's actually going to take it down the access road here. You can make it to pit road from here. So I was saying that might be a little bit of some maybe decent suspension damage. Or said, you know what, I don't want to risk hopping back on track with possibly damaged cars. So he's going to kind of do a little scenic route to hit pit road here. As now Bruno's back on pace, though. So talk about the 23.55. As soon as he got that clean air back, 23.18. So that's what that traffic will do to these guys.
Yeah, I can confirm that Bill has made it to pit road, so no caution or anything there. Also, you were talking about Matt Wagner being a little bit farther back. I'm also scratching my head a bit at Edson Santos, who's getting close to being 1 lap down right now. He's been he's been a kind of a mid-pack to front runner for most of the season. So him being back here is a little curious. Not sure if he's new to this circuit. I think part of the reason why we had some lesser attendance tonight is some drivers may not own this track, but it's very strange to see Edson so low. I would imagine he would be up closer to the Alan Moreira, Eric Peterson kind of situation, but maybe it'll turn around for him. He might still be learning a situation here, but yeah, back to Craig again. He's 15 seconds behind the leader, still doing whatever he's doing, and he's about to lose a lap if it continues through this whole green flag cycle.
Yeah, like it says, pretty much as soon as he enters 3, Bruno's exiting 2. So yeah, it's pretty much a straightaway difference. I mean, and like you mentioned, it's about a lap and a half, or yeah, probably about a lap and a half difference between for when he hit pit road. So even if he can cut a pit stop out of it, although the 2 stops versus the 1 stop, yeah, no, it'd still be a lap and a half overall gain. I was going to say it'd be 3 laps, but I say obviously he's going to have to pit at some point. So yeah, it's going to be intriguing to see, and I wonder maybe Matt's doing the same thought process. You know what? I'm just going to try to cut a pit stop out of it because, like I said, it's pretty close to the same windows. So right now, though, we've got the field pretty spread out here. So what we'll do is let's run through the field before they hit those pit stops. Right now, Bruno Miranda, our pole sitter and current race leader. I said he's got about a 3-second gap roughly, and actually we'll pull up the gaps as well so you can see that at the same time. About a 3-second gap over our second place driver, Nick DeGroot, started 3rd up into 2nd. Our outside front row, Gary Laverne, just dropped the 1 spot here, still sitting in 3rd. And like I said, just right, pretty much within a second of Nick, so doing a great job here early. And then to say this is where now the closest battle on track, Alan Moreira in 4th, and Eric Peterson, new charge.
I think Alan just completely messed up turn 3 and 4, and Eric nailed it perfectly. And now Eric is really going after it. I think he might actually, he's still running that low line absolutely perfectly. So he may spook Alan here, especially if Alan has completely worn his tires out.
And I say Alan's been one of those ones that's been running the highest of anybody. So actually Edson Santos on pit road, yeah. So not sure if this is scheduled or not. I say it's a little early for the window, but we'll keep an eye on him. And then behind them, Christopher's trying to work his way forward. Right now sitting in 6th, but again started 12th, so good gains for him early on. Then we jump to Jim Herrick in that 40 race for Caro. I love how he did that. It's like just the way it sounds and the number. It's well done. Good play on words there for Jim. As it looks like, actually, I'm going to go back here because this is a good battle. Oh my goodness, look how loose Alan got there out too. And I think that's like you said, now Eric jumps up to that 4th spot.
Yeah, Edson's still in his pit box, so I'm not sure if he's calling it a night. Might have touched a wall, which could account for the reason why he is a little bit off the pace. But yeah, Edson is now going several laps down, so he may be done for the evening. Yeah,
it's unfortunate. As we'll jump now to Yari Brupacher, who sits in the 8th spot, and he's right on the back of Jim Herrick. Now this is definitely now the closest battle on track. Craig Forsyth, again, we're going to keep an eye on this fella because he's usually a little sneaky about his strategy, so we'll see if he's going to try to pull off a one-stopper. Then right now, I believe the last car on the lead lap, Matt Wagner in that 6 machine. And again, as he's exiting 4, Bruno's entering 3, so not that far distance. And then right now, first car down is William Swenson. And then with that pit stop, Bill Colley is 3 down at the moment.
I was going to say Matt Wagner was actually the fastest car on track the last lap, 23.0. He just did a 23.2, but he was faster than our leader even. So maybe Matt was saving some fuel to save some tire life to really go pounce on it later. But if he's running the same lap times as Bruno, he's not going to be lapped anytime soon.
Yeah, that's the thing is actually look at this Nick DeGroot. He's going to short pit a little bit here. He's going to come in at lap 43. So again, he's taking the gamble of, you know what? I think we can make this happen. So he said, I'm going to go ahead and hop in. Edson looks like, I think he may have called it early here tonight, unfortunately. So that's going to leave 12 on track. So this is interesting. It's going to be fun to see. Do we see anybody go ahead and try to match him? But I think what Nick's doing here is just trying to split this race pretty much exactly into thirds, which, again, it's going to be a little less fuel in the car, maybe a little bit of a quicker pit stop as he's out with about an 8.37 second stop.
I would imagine if Bruno caught that Nick was pitting, he's going to pit soon as well so as not to be undercut. But Nick did. It's one of those things, if I can't beat the guy ahead of me on track, I got to find a way to do it in the pit lane. So it's a matter of trying to find a way.
Too.
Yep, it's a matter of trying to find the way to outsmart the guy ahead of you. So we'll see if that is fruitful for him later on.
And right now, like I said, DeGroot is actually only one down. The first car one down as well, which is critical. You also see William Swenson, Jim Herrick's also now hitting pit road. So that window is starting to open for these guys. Like I said, Bruno's got to make that tough decision of do I respond to Nick or not. Well, let's say we still got to wait for Nick to actually start. Christopher now as well just hit pit road. So yeah, they're starting to kind of peel in here as we talked about that 45 to 55 window. And no, Craig Forsyth on pit road as well. Matt Wagner on pit road. So that tells me that fuel strategy is not what the plan was for those guys. So maybe just didn't have the pace that they were hoping for early on. Gary Laverne is in. That's pretty much going to leave. I was going to say Alan Morera is staying out, but no, Bruno's going to be the one to run it long, and he's going to have the whole field here down a lap after this.
That's definitely a strategy to go for, too. Okay, everyone's pitting. I'll put all you guys a lap down, and I'll just get a free pit stop out of it. Yeah, that's interesting. Going back to the Craig Forsyth fuel safe situation, he lost too much time. So I'm sure in his mind he said to himself, "Yeah, this ain't gonna work. I'm just gonna pit with everyone else and try and run my race from here." But unfortunately, he lost 3 or 4 spots in the process of trying to fuel save. But
here comes Bruno.
It's something that you got to try at least, especially if it's something you're used to doing and driving anyway. So yep, we got Bruno coming down pit lane right now. I imagine he stayed out long enough that I believe Nick will probably get the lead here, depending on his traffic situation and everything.
And this will be the
flip-flop down the line.
Yeah, and then the other question is going to be, too, is we talked about kind of having to build temperature up in those tires. So first job for Bruno's got to hit his pit stall clean, no reversing, and looks like, yeah, great job of getting on pit road. So now we'll kind of peek out the corner. You can see those cars just coming out of turn number 4. He's down and away. I haven't seen a yellow and black car pop into frame yet. And
there he is coming out of 4.
Yeah, he's now on the front stretch entering turn 3. So I think Bruno's going to hold the lead, but the question is going to be the tire temperatures. And crucially, look at Bruno here. He's going to just stay in front of, or will he actually? Bruno's going to have to fight a little bit here to try to stay ahead of that 31 build just floating at the wall. He'll hang on to that spot. But again, he's got to build some tire temperatures. Nick's going to have some warm tires there to try to do something with him. But right now, looks like it's about to settle back in at about 3.5 seconds roughly. So job done for Bruno.
What a great stop that was from Bruno. He probably entered and exited the pits a little faster than Nick did. Either that or Nick had a little bit of traffic that hindered his progress a little bit, which is always a frustrating thing when you're trying to short pit because you want to have the cleanest track possible to get the best lap time out of your car. But that gap just shows me right there that something else went on during the pit stop cycle. Maybe Nick kind of babied it into the pits a little bit, whereas Bruno was a little more aggressive, but Bruno stays our leader.
Yeah, so I'm looking at the numbers. Pit lane time was a 33.73 total time on pit lane for Bruno to a 95, so only 0.2 of a second difference there. In the pits itself, it was 8:03 to an 8:37, so about 0.3 of a second quicker for Bruno. So, yeah, they were pretty equal there. But yeah, right though. Oh man, Nick is hustling it right there. You see, just about kissed the wall out of turn 2. Next good battle right now is these two here: Gary Laverne, Alan Morera. Alan, I say, trying to get back up there. I think the other story that I've missed in all this is Eric Peterson. Oh, Jim Herrick has dropped a couple of spots. No, actually, no, I'm sorry. He and Matt Wagner are just going door to door here. But Eric Peterson, actually, during the pit stop cycle, he's jumped up to the 3rd spot now. So, again, really, really good job by Eric here. It seems like he's got some of the best pace in this one and actually starting to chase down Nick DeGroot within a second.
I think that Eric has found the optimized roll bar and weight jacker setting on this car that makes his car work absolutely beautifully on the bottom line. I was watching that in the first stint.
Nick's looking at it too now.
Yeah, as we remember, Eric just managed to be the fastest on the low line with very little tire wear. So he's figured something out that these guys may or may not have figured out quite yet. But yeah, that's a great pit stop cycle for Eric to just get ahead of 2 more guys in the pit stop cycle, as well as drive a little more optimized than the rest.
Yeah, so that's being fun to say. Right now, this is a really fun battle here between Craig, Matt, and Jim. Say all these guys really good buddies too. So I'm sure this is more of a bragging right kind of race between these guys here at the moment. But look at Matt. Oh, he's going to hit the apron there. He's going to loop it around. This may bring out a first yellow. It is. Now you got to wait for traffic. Oh, man, Bruno is sweating bullets there, able to get underneath, but that's going to bring out our first caution of the race. This is going to bring some strategy now into play here because we're at 56 of 125. This is going to be interesting to see, but let's jump back to the incident real quick here. And I say we saw, though, Matt Wagner, he went a little too low here. He was trying to cut underneath Craig, and we talked about the difference of the seams. I don't want to go fast forward here. Let's back it up one more time. Apologies. Misclick. Let's see if we can get a better look here. Try and get a good angle so you can see the dots there, but as soon as he goes below, already you can see it just immediately stepping around. Actually, the first view we saw live was actually probably the best. And yeah, it just loops around. You can see he stays in the throttle, then locks it down, but unfortunately just is going to catch the outside wall here. So probably some pretty good suspension damage. And right there, I mean, you're so committed. That's a scary spot to be in for William Swenson and as well as Bruno Miranda.
Yeah, these guys are making a decision right now. I think everyone's coming in here. We're at just about halfway.
I think we're going to see the opposite game. Whatever Bruno does, I think everybody's going to do the opposite.
You're right. You definitely you're onto something there. If I were Bruno, I would have came in. There's no need to stay out there on older tires. There's a
track position.
There. Yeah, it's a track position thing for sure. But everybody's got to stop one more time regardless. So
yeah, I'll say there's no way. It's kind of like the first one. There's no way anybody can make it from here to the end. Because I say we still got about 60 some laps to go in this one. So you see there, it's going to hold top two. Or second and third, I should say, are going to hold serve.
If you're Bruno, you know you're fast enough to pass anyone anyway. I don't see a reason why he shouldn't have pitted here. I feel like even if he if he came in and then 3 or 4 cars stayed up behind him, I think he's got the pace enough in the clean air or the dirty air. Granted, he hasn't run in much dirty air other than the lap cars. He easily could have picked those spots back up again. So I would have gone for the fresh rubber there and tried to work it out.
Yeah, it's going to be interesting to see, and I'm waiting to double check here. I believe, okay, so the 69 car is back on the lead lap, so he was able to get that wave round. So that leaves Matt Wagner, Bill Colley, the only cars 8 lap down or more. I believe Matt is just 1 down. Bill, I believe, is, like I said, I think 3 down from that unscheduled pit stop. But yeah, this is going to be intriguing to see here. But what we'll do here is, lights are still on, so we'll step away. We'll show off our wonderful sponsor of 40 Racewear, and we'll be right back.
40 Racewear, makers of the ultimate sim racing shoes and custom apparel designed for sim racing by sim racers. 40 racing shoes are engineered to connect racers to the pedals in a way no other racing shoe can, all the while giving you the comfort needed to complete those double and triple stints. Visit 40racewear.com and check out the latest sim racing products that let you connect to your sim.
All right, lights are off. They're coming through 3 and 4. That's going to hand it back over to that one car again. He did not pit. It's about a 9-lap tire difference between them. We'll see if that comes into play as the run goes on, but what we'll do now is we're going to watch that starter. I don't think they're going to take as long this time to kick it off, though. As you see, Bruno Miranda is still waiting. Haven't seen the big jump yet. He's going to go now. So actually a little later than I thought he would go, but we're back to green. Looks like another clean start, though, by everybody.
Yeah, you saw Nick right up on his gearbox. He wanted to make sure he pounced on it immediately. It didn't work out, though, because he still managed to outsmart the rest of the field. There was one quick little hiccup in the mid-pack with Craig and Christopher. It didn't really amount to much, but everybody gets out of there alive. And look at Gary. Gary struggles in turn 3 and 4 and still hold on to the position, but I think Stouffer's going to make a pounce here.
I said this is where they got to start building temperature back up in these tires as well. Like I said, all these guys went ahead and took tires except for Bruno. And right now, though, like I said, Bruno's kind of, again, he's got the clean air. He's probably he's going to try to run away a little bit. However, Eric Peterson has stayed really tight onto Nick DeGroot. And you can see right behind it, Alan Moreira all over the back. Actually, all 4 of these guys right together here. 13's going to jump to the inside. Chris Stouffer, can he clear out of turn 2? No, he's not. The momentum's going to go back to the 21.
Alan just loves that outside line. I have not seen him run anything but that the entire race. But I think it's one of those things where you just got to find the advantage. And I think Stouffer is one of those guys who is always hunting for clean air, no matter at what cost. So he's going to find a way to do it, but as we saw, Matt Wagner pushed it a little too much with Craig in that incident there. Tried to find too much clean air and put himself right over that apron and spun. So these guys may be watching out for that and making sure they don't do the same thing.
Yeah, that's exactly it. It's that risk versus reward. And like you said, Craig was right on that seam. Matt tried to cut a little bit lower to get that left front in the clean air, and that's what bit him, unfortunately. But right now, though, say Eric Peterson, actually, he's now fallen right into the path of Gary Laverne. Gary's right on the rear gearbox here. I mentioned he was pretty much putting some good pressure on on Nick, I'm sorry. And now it's kind of roles reversed. Gary is all over the rear wing here.
Gary's going to school for sure. This is one of those situations where you try out different stuff. This works. Nope. Okay, trying something else new. Next corner. And doing it against some of the best guys in these series too. So that's something to definitely be happy to see.
And you can see right there the 3 distinct grooves there. Eric all the way at the bottom. Gary kind of run in the middle, and then you saw, like he's talking about, Alan running all the way to the top because big bobble there on the entry here. That could be the opening. No, he gets on throttle just enough there. But man, Gary is all over the rear wing here of Nick. But again, I think Nick's gonna stay. Looks like committed to the bottom. I think these guys are pretty much committed to the lines they're running because, again, that clean air, they got to try to stay in those good spots. But Bruno's starting to kind of run away again here.
I don't know how Alan can. Yeah, I was just going to make the mention coming out of 4 that Alan's not run the bottom yet. So he seems like he wants to set up these guys, but he's not run the bottom yet. So what weight jacker setting does he use? What line on entry and what braking point does he use? It's got to be tough when you run the same line for the whole race and then suddenly you're like, oh man, I can actually pass someone now on the low line. How do I actually make the car react
he got into the back of Gary Laverne there. That's going to bring the yellow back out. Yep, caution's out. Gary's going to try to drive that car out of the way. At least you see both front end they were pointing the wrong direction. One was kind of towed left, one was towed right. Now he's going to get reversed back in here and grab a gear, get back going. And I think it was exactly that. I think what we saw there was probably Alan was trying to see if he could dive it on the inside and just maybe misjudged it. So we'll go back and take a look, as I believe it was between Alan and Gary here. And so we'll watch Alan here as he enters turn number 1, right behind the 32. And that may have been a netcode situation here once more, unfortunately. Well, I'm going to take one more closer look at this one because I can't tell for sure, Andrew. But I mean, it was definitely tight between the two of them. But I'm almost wondering if, unfortunately, netcode may have reared its ugly head here again.
Well, I was alluding to this eventually when I was trying to finish my point that Alan just has an entry point he's used for 70 laps now. He's used an entry point every time. Now he has to switch his whole entire demeanor to, I have to get on the inside of someone, so I have to kind of cut in and see where exactly I got to make the move. And sometimes that just relates into confusion and, unfortunately, an incident.
And remember we talked about last time by Bruno Miranda being the only one that did not pit? He's on pit road, but he's not. There's 3 drivers that did not pit: Nick DeGroot, Eric Peterson, Craig Forsyth. However, we're 55 to go here. Bruno was one of the ones that ran the longest on that last run. This is a gamble for Nick DeGroot. Said, you know what? I want that clean air. I want to lead a lap. And I want to put Bruno now in the position of having to try to make some passes. But now the question is, does Bruno actually have to make passes? Because if this thing stays green, he might be in the window to make it to the end.
I'm listening to some of these drivers in the chat now. I was wondering what the situation on the pit open was because of Gary's damaged car. I think Bruno might be fine, but I know sometimes iRacing is a little strange with how it treats the open pit lane and everything like that, and that may have been one of the reasons why some of the drivers may have been hesitating to open the pit lane. But I think everything's all right. Yeah, Bruno's got the pace to do it.
And actually, I'm going to go back to that pit entry because I think we're going to see here a little bit of snookery, if you will, by Nick DeGroot, because you see the decision. Nick's like, yep, I'm coming in. Oh, no, I'm not.
Yeah, back to the pit window situation. It's close. Bruno's now in a spot where he's got to save fuel, but he also doesn't want to sit in traffic. So going to be a little bit interesting from here. Mentioned in the pre-race how I don't think that this race is going to produce any sort of fuel save, but here we are.
Yeah, saying it's all about the timing of those cautions, and I mean, like I said, we thought we saw some fuel saving happening early, but it wasn't the case, and so now though, yeah, I think all those drivers that pitted from Bruno on back, they're probably thinking fuel. Jim Herrick actually, he topped off on the one to go as well, so he just got that extra splash of fuel just to get, again, every little drop he can. Matt Wagner the wave around, so back on the lead lap, so that gives us 10 drivers back on lead lap. Unfortunately, Gary with that incident, that drops him down to a lap down, but again, the only car one down. Bill Colley, though, he is actually 2 down now from being 3 down, so a good cycle for him as well. But now, like I said, the complexion has changed a little bit. Nick was second this whole run. Now he's got some clean air. He's going to have the control of this race. But I think he's going to need some help with cautions possibly to be able to pull this one off.
We're going to go green here. Let's hope that these drivers take good care of each other and get going nice and smoothly. It seems that is the case as of now.
Yeah, it looks like clean start.
Leads into turn 1.
So now, like I said, we saw Bruno. He would get about that 2-second lead here pretty quickly. Will Nick be able to do the same? And like I said, Eric Peterson, he's been one of the quicker cars. This is also, I think, a great call for Eric here. It's like, you know what? I'm even closer to the point now. Let me see if I can keep Nick honest here. Again, those guys did not pit. I wonder if maybe their tires will hold a little bit better temperature, because right now, like I said, I think Bruno's still trying to build up a little bit of temp in that number 1 machine. Again, trying to defend his championship for last season.
If Christopher really going to battle here with Allen. Finally, that was such a close maneuver out of turn 2 there, but I think Chris might actually clear.
He's going to try to use Gary as a pick here, I think.
That was a very interesting move there. He kind of knew that Allen might be stuck because Allen's only running the high line, as we mentioned many times before, but Chris realized that and realized that he could probably take a more aggressive inside line there. So 1 spot up there for Chris, P5.
Yeah, and that's, again, he's got to try to get some spots. Like I said, he's kind of on the outside looking in for the points, but again, you never know how this race is going to shape up. Again, he did pit, so we know he's, well, I wouldn't say he is good to the end. We think they're good to the end. But again, I think that's pretty much about 55 laps on the dot from when they pit. Of course, I'm sure all of them were map 8, saving every drop of fuel they could under yellow. And now you wonder, but yeah, right now though, Bruno, I say he kind of looks human again, if you will. Not able to just run away with the field with that clean air. But that said, Nick hasn't run away as well from Eric Peterson. Eric's still within a couple tenths here.
We see Allen has successfully gotten by Gary as well after their incident. There could be a little bit of ire there, but no harm, no foul. Allen continues on, still remains in P6.
Yeah, and that's true. You always have that little concerns like, all right, I'm around the guy that I got into, and hopefully he's not too mad at me. And and the thing is, like, in these leagues, these guys know each other so well. That's where just a simple little, like, apology goes such a long ways versus there's times where drivers either don't want to own up to it or they'll kind of be like, oh, I'm not sure what happened. And it's like, well, maybe just say sometimes an apology, even if you're not 100% sure, it goes a long ways.
We got William Swenson running a nice P8 right now. He should be happy about that. Kept it clean off the walls, no real issues. A nice day for William Swenson. I'm sure he's learning a lot on this short track situation as well.
Yes, and I believe so he was the first wave around car on the first yellow as he got lapped after that pit stop cycle. So yeah, so like I said, got back into the lead lap, and yeah, now he's up a couple spots as well in that top 10 solidly. And I'm saying again ahead of some really good cars like Matt Wagner, Jim Harrigan, is really kind of holding his own pretty well right now. He's behind Bill Colley in the 31. But again, not too far from Yari as well. As you can see, again, some trying to figure out where lane you're going to do. Bill's going to give him plenty of room on the inside. That's just respect being given by that 31 car, and let him go and see if he can try to chase down Yari in this 49 up ahead.
These cars seem to have kind of spread out a little bit, but we're always going to keep a close eye on Bruno and what he's going to do to get himself back to the front again. So Craig is, who knows what Craig is doing, if he's fuel saving or if he's kind of hanging out or something like that, but he's not going to be an easy person to pass for Bruno either. Even if he's doing a fuel saving situation, he's going to try and make it a little difficult, which will allow both Nick and Eric to pull away a tiny bit. So this is definitely a battle to watch as we get closer and closer to the last 30 laps or so here.
Yeah, and also lap time wise too. Actually, last time by Craig ran 23:20. He was actually quicker than Eric ahead of him. I was going to say 2 laps ago, he was actually a couple tenths slower than Eric and Nick. So, like you were saying, that's going to kind of pull Bruno away from them as well. But like I said, I'm wondering if Bruno's again. The one thing I wish we could really see is I would love to be able to spy on these drivers and see what field maps they're running, because that would tell us so much about the strategies of these races. But say unfortunately we don't get to have that top secret info. And I'm sure the drivers are very happy that we don't get to spy on them, because I think we'd have a lot of drivers listening to the broadcast if we did.
You know, it's a toasty track down there. It's a nice warm day in May, and I don't think you want to go down to the pit lane to talk to any of the crew chiefs, do you, Kyle?
Yeah, I don't think they want to give any secrets away right now. So, but
if you push them hard enough, they'll give it to you. But we're up here in this comfy booth. We're not going to leave and go talk to anyone.
No, yeah, we're good where we are. But right now, like I said, this is one of the closest battles on track. Bruno's got there. Now, again, he's got to try to find the way around Craig. And like you said, I mean, Craig's not just going to roll over for him, because he's trying to get the best result he can in this race. So we know he loves to interview with us as well. So he's going to try to do everything he can. Oh, man, right up to the rear wing there. Bruno just got a face full of dirty air there.
Yeah, we can see that these two guys are now over 3 seconds behind the leaders. So Bruno's got a lot of work to do if he passes Craig to try and get to the front. And we all know Nick is a master at these situations. He's probably trying to save every bit of fuel as possible while also still going fast. Yeah, Craig Forsyth now 3.5 seconds behind the leaders. So Craig is really giving it to Bruno right now. So this is really a test for Bruno, someone who usually races up front in clean air. Now he has something to work for, and he's just showing all of us that it's not as easy as we see it.
Yeah, I say with all that, that's starting to pull in this other driver here, Christopher. He's gotten just about that second distance from Bruno, so he's kind of pulling himself right back into that mix. So yeah, so I'll have to keep an eye on them. And so we, again, don't expect and don't hope to see anything, but man, Gary Laverne is just, I think he's maybe trying to put a little bit of pressure back on Alan and say, like, hey, I'm right here in your mirror, just want to make you uncomfortable. Actually, he's going to see if he can grab the spot here again, and saying that's not a bad call. And yeah, I think Alan said, yeah, you go on ahead here. I know what happened earlier. I'll let you on by, because that's like you talk about too. I mean, Gary's got really good pace, just unfortunately got caught up in that incident.
So if I'm still watching the Bruno and Craig battle here, and if let's just watch Bruno's lines here. Let's compare him to how Eric Peterson, for example, was racing in the first stint. Eric was using that second lane to try and get an advantage on Alan up ahead to pass him for the longest time. You can see that Bruno's not even touching that second lane. He is like basically just going below the third seam. So someone like Eric may have been practicing before the race saying, I think I could use a nice weight jacker setting to put myself in the second lane consistently and constantly. I have not seen Bruno use anything but the third lane on both sides of the track, despite what Craig is doing for the whole entire race. So Bruno really needs to either rim ride like Alan or take the second or second and a half, if it will, lane to try and do anything with Craig. Otherwise, he's going to be stuck here and his tires are going to be completely toast.
Yeah, like I said, because he's just living in the dirty air, like you said. And I did see once or twice, it looked like he got in way deeper than Craig on entry. And again, that could be Craig trying to roll back his entry and kind of, again, like you said, you kind of back it down a little bit more. You can save every single drop of fuel you can. So it's going to be interesting. That said, I mean, I'm watching Nick DeGroot. He's still running great lap times, 23:03s. So he and Eric Peterson, like I said, I think Eric right now has done really the best job of working through traffic and just managing, like you said, managing his tires and finding the right spots to be in to do everything right. So it's going to be interesting to see. Like I said, fuel mileage and strategy. I believe Jim Herrick just got put a lap down in the 40 car. So he's unfortunately down. Not sure if that's, again, if he maybe thinks, hey, you know what, I don't think any of these guys can make it. I'm going to back it down a ton to make it to the end on fuel. Again, this is all that's us speculating at this point. So it's going to be interesting to see, because we're at 30 to go already in this one. And I mean, if we go with that 45 number with them pitting at 57, I mean, that's going to put them at what, about just over lap 100.
105 or so that you may have to start seeing some pit stops. But yeah, that it's a tough one. That we know nothing about what these guys are doing, as you mentioned before. And as a little update, looks like these guys are now 6 seconds behind the leader. So I think Craig is doing some sort of job here to keep Bruno behind and the guys way ahead.
Yes, and again, I mean, and Craig might be thinking, you know what, I think Bruno still has to pit, so I'm going to go ahead and, like I said, I'm just going to fight for all I'm worth, because I want to try to still get that top 3. Because, I mean, while he may not be in the championship hunt, he's going to still want to try to finish the best that he can, as he's going to have, I'm sure, some battles. He might be in that window with Christopher, Matt Wagner, and all those guys to try to get that top 5 in points as well. So I say, yes, we're focused on the championship battle, but at the same time, we're also really focused on, like, all these drivers are really focused on their own inner battles, if you will. So, and again, when Bruno pitted, I'm trying to think how long he went on that first run. I wonder if I can actually find out.
Yeah, you could see.
Let's see, Bruno. So I think, yeah, these are the laps. So I'm gonna kind of peek through my
looks
info here.
like lap 48. Looks like he came in.
So that's gonna be on the outside looking in. But again, is he trying to maybe save now? And yeah, Bruno, yeah, it looks like 49, 48, 49. Oh yeah, lap 48, 49 is when he entered pit lane. So that's not a guarantee by any means. And again, I mean, we've seen a couple yellows for incidents, and that can also completely change the complexion. Again, never root for them, but it's part of racing. So, but that said, though, Nick's already got up to Matt Wagner, and again, we thought Matt was saving on that first run, but at that point he came with everybody else. But Nick's caught him pretty quick here on this restart. So either that car just isn't happy, or he might have also kind of turned it down a notch after. You might get a little bit spooked after having that spin. You're just like, all right, I'm not going to take any extra risks because I don't have any backup cars now. I've used my one fast repair.
Yeah, and as you see, Bruno has fallen off the back of Craig too. So I don't know if he's given up on trying to pass him or has gone into a mega fuel save mode. But you make a good point there that Bruno is just on the outside looking in, which means that every other car is going to have to pit here.
And here comes Nick.
So it brings back the situation. All these cars have to make it in without spinning or bringing out a caution. So I think it's going to be one of those things where a caution might randomly come out of nowhere, and someone that's sitting in a good situation might actually get some good time back. Yeah.
So Nick's the first to hit pit road. That's going to give the lead now to Eric Peterson. And it looks like normal 4-tire stop for Nick, about 8.35 seconds on pit road. So now he's going to roll out again. He will be one lap down. But importantly, look at this, though. He's going to come out in, it looks like, yeah, if he can hustle it here, he's going to stay in front of Craig. It looks like he will. Clean air for the 89 to build back up to speed. So that's huge for him. Duty mentioned Bill Culley also on pit road coming out now. But this is now our race leader in that number 36 machine. But again, these guys did not pit on that previous yellow. They pitted at 57. Bruno and everybody else pitted at 70. So that's going to be the question mark, and that might be, again, did Bruno back off of these guys to get into that fuel window, or again, did he just get those tires really angry, but because now he's over 2 seconds back off of Craig.
Craig is side by side with Nick right now, which I find interesting because Nick is fresh out of the pits, but Yeah, I think Nick, it's still under battle. Whoa, that was very close on the exit of 2 there. But yeah, I think Nick is going to win this battle. But Craig came up to him on the cold tires, or sorry, Nick's cold tires, and started to battle him a little bit. And Craig's going to come in right now.
Yeah, so Craig's in. Eric Peters is
Whoa.
in. Oh, Craig locked him hard there. However, for Nick DeGroot now, this does put him back onto the tail end of the lead lap. So this is important for him because now he doesn't have to worry about waiver rounds or anything like that. He knows that he's good here. So now we get back to Bruno Miranda, back to the race lead. And he's got some pretty good clean air in front of him. The only car is Nick, who's about a half a straightaway ahead. So I'm going to be watching Bruno's lap times because I'm looking at the numbers. We talked about before, he was running in the 23s, low 23s. He's now at 2340s. I'm thinking that's turning down that wick and saying, I want to make it. Because he did go the furthest of anybody on those stops. I'm just looking now. Heartbreaker here. Eric Peterson, I believe, had a pit road penalties. He's still sitting on pit road. Had such a good run going, and unfortunately looks like I would assume either an unsafe entry, but more likely probably a speeding on pit entry is now leaving pit road there. But all his hard work, unfortunately, undone, now falls back to 11th.
I'm still scratching my head at that random Nick and Craig battle because that lost Nick a lot of time because he was not expecting someone to be on his outside there. But he did have a 7-second lead on Bruno coming into the pits, so now he's just gonna chip away at that little by little. If Bruno truly is saving, Nick's gonna be probably 2 seconds a lap faster.
And
Is
that I was saying that's
faster enough to get there. We'll have to see.
I'll say, yeah, so we got 16 to go, and right now he's about 18 seconds back, so it roughly, I'll say it would be about a second a lap, a little over a second lap would be the magic number. And Bruno, again, he's running 23.75. Nick ran a 22.97, so right now it's not quite that magic second gap, and the other problem for Nick is he's going to probably lose a little bit of pace here and there when he starts to get into that traffic, and looking to see where Nick is on track at the moment, and yeah, say it's less than a half or I should say it's more than a half a lap down that he still is, because these guys are still running in the 24 second bracket, even fuel saving. So yeah, I think these guys have made their beds and say, you know what, we're going to try to make it to the end here and just save.
This is one of those situations, too, where we're watching a lot of guys that are staying out and fuel saving. Like, there was a very, very close encounter with Alan Moreira and Chris Stouffer in 3 and 4. I don't know how they made it out of it, but that could bring out a caution, too, which would turn this whole entire thing upside down as well.
Yeah, and so now I'm going to go back to also we talked about the pit strategy where Nick decided to stay out, whereas Bruno went ahead and pitted, took tires. It wasn't, I almost wonder now, say this is, of course, looking back and backseat driving and all that. Nick has done this strategy before a lot where he'll pit, but he'll take fuel only. And, of course, that's going to really reduce the pit stop time. He probably could have jumped Bruno doing that and then been on the same fuel strategy as Bruno, potentially, of course, behind Craig and Eric had they stayed out. But I wonder if that may have been the potentially race-winning call for him. But, again, I mean, we still got 11 to go here. About to be 10 at the line this time by as Bruno's coming out of turn 2 now. Nick is at start-finish line. Now it is about a half a lap difference between the two of them. And Nick is all over Matt Wagner here. Again, Matt, I believe, also in that fuel save mode. So Nick should be able to make pretty good work of him here.
Nick is taking 2 seconds a lap out of Bruno every single lap. It was 21 seconds about 5 laps ago. It's 11.7 now. And, of course, Nick's got to battle people, which is always kind of a difficult situation, but there's enough laps for him to actually get up there and do it as he races on that first lane, very close there between Nick and Matt.
That's the Dale Jr. slide job, I'll say, but IndyCar form, and he's got 2 right now in quick succession. He can try to get Yari and Christopher, and that could pull him right back up into 3rd position here. And he's going to follow. It looks like Chris is just going to roll out of it completely. And Yari, I think, is backing it way down, too. And
8.9 seconds behind Bruno. It's coming, like I said, every lap is a second and a half to 2 seconds.
Yeah, so, I mean, if Bruno's maybe had to back his pace down even more than he wanted to, because, yeah, some of these guys have really, really backed it down. So, and that's the thing is for Bruno, he had to be committed to that fuel save right on the green, I think, to be able to pull this number off. And So right now, Nick's about 3 seconds back from Alan Morera, about 7 off the lead here. But this could still be very, very interesting. And of course, the other thing mentioned this series, there are no green-white checkered. So if we get a late yellow, unfortunately, that would call it early. So Nick is basically right now is like, all right, everybody keep it clean. I want to see if I can have any chance on chasing these guys back down.
These are big numbers. Like, as I mentioned, 10 laps ago, it was 20 seconds behind the leader, and Nick is finding himself within striking distance of taking the win in 6 laps here. Bruno is racing the high line. His tires are completely eaten. Nick is coming by wearing tires, not necessarily worn. As he comes by Alan Morera for P2 there. He's got 5 laps seconds. To find something to do here. So we'll see what happens.
So like I said, if he can do the second lap, he's going to be right there. Now he's got a lot of clean air, so this is where he's just going to have to do everything he can, because Alan Morera was a 24-24. Nick was a 23-22 while working traffic. This time by, let's see what we get, 23-91. Nick DeGroot waiting for him to cross the line, 22.99. So again, right at that second mark, it's down into the 4 seconds now. This is going to be tight unless Bruno's done enough. Bruno running really high there as Eric Peterson getting one of his laps back. This is going to be spicy here. Look at Bruno. He's trying to steal some draft off Eric to get every drop of fuel he can.
You get these guys that are on fresh tires, and Bruno can't do anything but just hang out there. And now you got Gary Lovern coming out of the pits. He might be more of a problem for Nick than for Bruno, especially if he's on fresh tires. But yeah, Bruno's on old tires, Williams on old tires. These guys need to actually not hinder Nick's forward progress here, which might prove difficult in the last couple laps.
Yeah, I say Nick's not there yet, but let's say, like I said, Bruno's just wanting these laps to click off as quick as he can. He did pick it up a little bit last time by. It was a 23.68, so it was still about 0.7 of a second quicker for Nick. But you can see he was kind of doing 5.432. Now it's just kind of settled in a little bit at that 2 second mark here, as Bruno's just got to try to go 2 more laps here and without losing too much time. But what an effort though by Nick to take that gamble and then now to try to just go full on chase mode here.
It should be mentioned that Alan has lost 3rd place to Matt Wagner as well. Alan's been running some very slow laps the last couple laps, and Matt took advantage and is
Nick's
now
a second and a half now behind, and Gary's all over the back of Bruno. So we'll see. I say, will this mess up Bruno's line, slow him down a little more? Because there's Nick. Can he get there? If Bruno has any stumble here, this could change the complexion of this race, and we could see a swap for the lead on the last lap, last turn.
You're coming to the...
Oh, he's slow. I don't know if he's got any power here. Nick's going to try to chase it. He's going to get the win out of turn 4. Bruno's going to come home second still. Matt Wagner's going to find a podium out of all of this somehow in the 6 car. Oh, my goodness. That is wild. And I think you see the disgust from Bruno there. I think he just probably knows that car into the wall. But that is probably one of the wildest finishes we've seen in this series.
I kid you not when I say this, that a lot happened in the last 5 laps. I was clicking around just watching other drivers. Alan Morera hit the wall, and then Wagner got by him and he spun. It was so much to take in there. But yeah, Nick did not expect Bruno to be sputtering coming out of turn 4, coming to the checkered there. Wow, what a finish.
And again, I mean, any little thing could have made the difference on that one, but that is, like I said, that's probably one of the craziest finishes we've seen here. As Nick's, I say, just to rub salt in the wound here, he's got even more fuel just to do some donuts and again, I mean, but again, that's probably one of his most exciting wins, I'm sure, that he's had in this series.
Well, you even called it that it was just outside looking in for Bruno to hit that 45 laps on the window. And he didn't have enough to actually cross the line. He had to really back it down. And you were right on top of that when you said that he pitted to try and see if he could make it and everything. But I don't think it was enough to actually make the finish. And he probably should have bailed on that strategy to fuel save and come in and top off on something.
Yeah, I mean, that's one of the craziest finishes I've seen. So before we get to the interviews, we'll actually pull up the results here real quick and go over those at quick succession. So Nick DeGroot out of turn 4, able to take advantage of that little sputter there by Bruno. again, I mean, Bruno's gutted for that one because I mean he definitely was the class of the field tonight, and just unfortunately the timing of the yellows just caught him out there. Matt Wagner had a rough night, spun it out, had some damage early, but ran the field numbers to perfection. He winds up, and I believe Matt may have been one of those ones that topped off as well, if I'm not mistaken. So some good strategy out of that six machine to bring home a podium. Yari Brupacher, Craig Forsyth are top five. You mentioned Alan Moreira had troubles there at the very end. He falls back to sixth there, the last car on the lead lap. And then Chris Stouffer there, seventh. Jim Herrick, Eric Peterson, Gary Laverne are top 10. And then William Swenson, Bill Cawley stuck it out. As like I said, I mean, it was a good recovery for Williams. Just unfortunately, I think the way the cautions and such fell, it didn't be able to get the full result he wanted. And then Edson Santos, unfortunately, early retirement for him. So the one I'm hurting for a little bit, though, too, Eric Peterson, because like I said, he had such a good run going tonight and just wasn't able to get the result to show for it. However, in all this chaos, we got to pull up some drivers to chat with, and we're going to kick it off with this fella here, and that is going to be a Mr. Matt Wagner. Matt, you started towards the back. You had a moment there trying to get by Craig, got a little bit of apron action, but the way the cautions fell, you got a lucky dog, get back on the lead lap, and then right on the fuel window to the edge, it looked like you were one of the few that managed it really well there to be able to kind of have the pace at the end. I mean, did you kind of back it down early and then kind of get your number and then go aggressive at the end, or what was the fuel strategy there at the very end?
Well, I kind of look at my numbers as soon as we got off pit road there, and I was like, whoa, that's like super safe, like really close numbers. So I really didn't think Bruno was going to make that whole entire run. That was quite surprising. That he shocked me. I'm lost for words. I mean, that was just excellent fuel saving by him. But for me, what that was I really don't deserve third place. I really don't. Because I had a little bit of connectivity problems getting into the server here tonight. I really didn't get the practice that I wanted to race, the cars around, and never got a feel of the car. Just everything felt kind of sloppy. I just felt kind of it's a little sluggish, slow and sluggish, and watching everybody pass me like I'm sitting still. But when the fuel saving came into play, I said, all right, we can do this.
Hey Matt, when you were trying to find clean air, I'm gonna refer to your spin, of course, because that's kind of top of mind for all of us.
Go ahead, Shammy.
My question is, even when you're trying to battle someone that's ahead of you, do you want to try and take the top line to waste all the right side of your car, both the right front and the right rear? Or do you think it's better to try and play with both lines to try and wear the tires evenly? Because it looked like, especially in your spin there, you were trying you could actually get to the bottom line, but there's all that tiny bit of banking down there that'll upset the car. So what when you go through the stint and you're trying to follow a car and trying to work on a pass up ahead, how exactly do you manage trying to run the bottom for a little bit, the top for a little bit, and everything like that?
Well, I've been trying to adjust my line. Craig has been running the top line when I was doing that, and he went to the bottom that time, and I just tried to get my left sides just a little bit of clean air, just trying to get underneath them. I think it had to do with the balance of weight jacker and how low the car was. It could really kind of upset the car, and of course, you know what's going to happen. It's going to kick out from beneath you, and that was a really stupid move by me. But you got to try something. I mean, for me, it's like I said, lack of practice. There you go.
Yeah, I mean, and that's the thing is, you got to get the laps to find what works for you. And I mean, we were talking about Eric Peterson. It seemed like he had the line figured out tonight. He was one of the few able to make some really good moves throughout the course of the race. But yeah, like I said, it was pretty wild the way everything went tonight. But like I said, you're able to get a great result out of a tough night. So I mean, there's days where say you might feel like say there's days where it's like better lucky than good, and I mean obviously you had to put yourself in the right place at the right time
Yeah.
and work the strategy obviously because these ones you pretty much have to commit to it right from the go leaving pit road. Because also did you top off on that one to go as well?
I did not. I left it in fuel map 8. Yeah, we're going to caution. So I only lost what, maybe point 1, point 2. I thought about it, but I would have been the last car on the lead lap. I probably should have, and then
But track
I did
position.
not. Yeah, I don't think it would have mattered. Uh, I guess Jim had a little bit of problems with Black Flag, and we fixed that, and that was kind of weird. But anyway, yeah, what a race.
Yeah, that was wild. You have to go back and watch that last lap again. Say we're gonna unfortunately say I want to switch from you. Say we're gonna have the highest, the highest, and the lowest, the lows. I think in these next two. But before
Yeah.
we let you go though, Matt, definitely want to give you the floor for any thanks and shout outs for your podium tonight. You had a YouTube person waiting for your inevitable misfortune, which you had, but
Who's
then you
that?
recovered well.
Who's that?
It's your favorite buddy.
Is that Seth Groover?
No, no. You have to go check YouTube chat.
Oh God, you're gonna make me go check. All
You should be
right.
watching anyway. I don't know what that's about.
Uh, anyway, shout out to the guys at ISRA who actually put on the truck series race last night. Shout out to them. Those guys do everything great over there. Shout out to Green White Checker TV. You know, I'm proud to be a part of. Gaio and Andrew, I love hearing your insights. I love going back and hearing your commentary. You got the voice for it. You are the forever second chair. Um, Shout out to everybody in this race. Everybody participating in this race. I really don't deserve third place finish. I think out of all people, Eric probably deserves a third place finish out of everybody. So, guys, it's been fun. Hopefully, we'll see you back here, maybe Indy with a win, possibly.
Yeah, one more to go, Matt. So enjoy this one, and then we'll
We'll
see
be
you
here.
again soon.
All right, guys, take it easy.
All right, that is Matt Wagner. Now we got to switch over to, like I said, it's I mean the balance of everything tonight is just it's wild. But so we're gonna pull Bruno in on here, our pole sitters for tonight, and Bruno, I'm gonna say cautions were probably the story tonight, the strategy. I mean I hurt for you right now, man. I feel bad. Like I said, you were so quick. And it was a hard decision to save fuel or be aggressive. And I mean, you had the fuel to just half a straightaway away. I mean, take us through the race, and I mean, just yeah, I'd say how hard was it there to save fuel at the end?
Hello, Gael. Hello, Andrew. Thank you, everybody. Yeah, I saved fuel in the beginning of the race. All of the race, I saved the fuel, but not sufficient to finish the race. I used the map 8 to save the fuel, but lost. I lost for a half a lap. So this is race. Congratulations to Nick to use the other strategy, and the strategy can pay. So thank you, everybody. Thank you guys, and congratulations to Matt for the podium too.
So you had some shout outs there. Say you had a. I'm gonna try to do my best to pronounce the names as Goyo Emiliano Dorso. Say telling you a good job tonight as well. But I say before we let you go, definitely want to give you the floor for any thanks and shout outs for your runner up here tonight.
Oh, thank you. Ricardo is my team owner in my team, and I thank you for him to help me in races. So thank you, everybody. Thank you to see this broadcast. Thank you, Gail. Thank you, Andrew. And congrats, Nick, again, and Matt for the race. It's a good race, no? It's a big final. So I very upset, but this is race. These things happen.
Yeah, no, exactly right. But it's like you still got next week Indianapolis. It's going to be a great fight between you and Nick. So, like I said, good luck the rest of the way, and look forward to seeing you two battle for that championship.
Thank you, and I hope to stay there. But the Nicky is a strong guy in super oval tracks, so I can do the to stay with him and stay to discuss fighting the championship. So thank you very much, you guys. Thank you. Good night to everybody.
All right, great job, Bruno. Looking forward to seeing you next week, man. Good luck.
Thank you, guys.
All right, we got to chat. As I said, you could hear the frustration there, unfortunately, Andrew. And unfortunately, we kind of saw the frustration there as well after he got across the line. But now I got to switch to the elation side of things, because I feel like we've asked Nick before on these ones about maybe the craziest wins he's had. This is probably up there, Nick, because I mean we were watching, and I mean Andrew's on top. He's like, man, he's gaining over a second a lap, 2 seconds a lap. He can get there, and then it was also one of the things like any little hiccup by Bruno, and I mean you're gonna be able to pounce on it. I mean that, like I said, I mean that was wild for us to see. I can only imagine what it was like behind the wheel, and I also can only imagine how hard you were driving that thing from A to B there that whole run.
Wow, I'm stunned. I went into this race kind of knowing Bruno's going to be hard to beat. He's incredible on these short ovals, and they're my weakest ovals. So I'm like, best I can probably hope for a second, mitigate the damage, and it looks like that's what it was going to be for a lot of the race. But when we started getting those cautions, I'm like, what's my strategy? And I quickly decided whatever Bruno doesn't do is my strategy, because if I do what he does, the best I can hope for is to finish behind him. So went on an alternate strategy, and I got to tell you, after I pitted, I had no idea where I was going to end up. At first, I'm like, okay, we were definitely in the top 5. Okay, we're third. Oh, there's Bruno up the road. Okay, this could be a thing. And I was just pushing as hard as I possibly could, hoping that there wasn't going to be a yellow, because I knew my only chance is that this runs green and maybe, just maybe, he runs out of fuel. And I entered turn 3 and I was out of hope. I'm like, it's over. We're finishing second. And then I see him slowing up out of turn 4. I couldn't believe my eyes. Thank you, Bruno, for giving me a lane there on the outside coming to the line, because I needed it. Needed every foot of that front stretch to get by him. It was just incredible stuff. I've lost a lot of races on fuel mileage. I don't think I've ever won one quite like that.
Yeah, I think one of the big things that you have to consider if you're going on this anti-strategy is, okay, I have the fuel to make it. The person ahead of me that I'm chasing is kind of going to run out of fuel at some point in the last lap, probably can't do the cool down lap. But at the same time, you have some guys that are on this pit strategy, such as you were, and you have these guys that are on this fuel safe strategy. So it just becomes this whole entire conglomeration of people that are going slow on track, people that are in your way. So did you feel like you were actually gaining time during that last stint, or did you not know anything, or how did you maneuver through people that were on kind of a similar strategy as you and try to be like, hey, get out of my way? Because I saw that with a couple of people that you were kind of battling with that were like, okay, well, I'm kind of on the move here. How are you going to help me?
Yeah, when I was getting ready to pit, I was looking, okay, how far behind is Bruno? And I was actually surprised to see he was 6-7 seconds behind me. I'm like, oh, okay, and he's got to keep saving. That's a pretty good gap to build up before pit stop. So I decided to pit a little bit early, because I caught those lap cars, and I'm like, I can't afford anything to slow me down. So I pitted early, prayed there wasn't a yellow, and as I'm coming back through them, I'm thinking there's going to be a caution. There's cars going so many different speeds here. They're all over the place. There's no way. Just get as high as you can before the yellow. And thankfully it didn't come. And when I'm catching these guys, like in my mind, I'm thinking they're lap cars. But then I quickly have to be like, no, they're battling you for position and they're trying to make it to the end of the race. And I noticed where Bruno was when I caught Matt, because I pushed up the thing a little bit. I'm like, oh, okay, he's literally a straightaway away. So, so I'm like, all right, sorry, Matt, I'm gonna have to go here, whether you want me to or not. And I kind of pushed him up a little bit in the corner,
Yep,
and no
one of them.
contact. Yeah, no contact. Just kind of used him up a little bit. Everybody else, though, they were getting out of the way for the most part, saving fuel. And man, when I got there, I was ready to key up my mic, because I know there was a couple lap cars between us, and I was gonna be like, just move, just get out of the way, just clear the road. I don't know what's gonna happen. But Gary there, he had fresh tires, so he was harassing Bruno, which probably helped me out a little bit. But man, you could not have scripted it any better. That was incredible. I think we now go to Indy with a very slim points lead, which is all I could ask for. I got a chance.
Yeah, I think that the biggest scenario there that you mentioned, like the broadcast didn't catch it for sure, but everything went completely sideways the last 5 laps. Like with Matt getting into the podium position, Alan was barely hanging on for dear life. He spun, did a half spin, and I believe Swenson was in the back. Things went kind of crazy, and a caution was like all but out. And I was watching a lot of it myself, and it's worth a watch on the replay to see all the craziness that went on. But yeah, you just managed to find the right bit of track where there was not much going on, and you were able to capitalize there. So that's kind of every racer's dream. It's like, hey, I'm going to chase this guy down and I'm going to get this win, and it never actually happens. So
yeah,
good on you for that.
It worked out perfectly. And like you said, there, you mentioned in the near cautions, I also had luck on my side. In racing, you can be as good as you want, but you're going to need luck in the end. And thankfully, it was with us today.
So I'm going to switch over and I'm going to play backseat crew chief, if you will, because so you stayed out around after your pit stop at 57, where Bruno stayed out, everybody else pitted, and then you go about 13 whatever laps, and the caution comes out at 70. He pits, you all stay out. My question on that one is, I've seen you do it before in the seasons. Was there any thought about doing a fuel-only stop to knowing that you could jump Bruno, or was it basically like, I just want the clean air and that's all there is to it? Because like I said, I know you've done the fuel strategy before to jump spots, because that would have been probably, what, a 3-4 second stop at most. Was there any consideration of doing that, or were you pretty much zoned in on, I want the clean air?
Yeah, that's not a bad idea, but just in that moment, no matter what, I was trying not to overthink it. It was, if he pits, I stay out. If he stays out, I pit. And I really wasn't thinking too much beyond that. But I knew, because I had tried it in practice, if you saved hard, you can get north of 50 laps. So when that caution came out, I'm like, Bruno was pulling away from me in the first run and still saving fuel. He went like 5 laps longer than me there. So I'm like, if anybody can make it 55 laps or whatever it was, it's going to be Bruno. So I got to just go hard here. I got to get as big as a lead as possible. Hope for the best. Hopefully there's not a caution. And yeah, I just wanted to get off his strategy, because he was so dang fast, like he always is here.
Yeah, it was. I mean, that was wild tonight. I said I don't know if I've seen I've seen crazy finishes in the series, but all the craziness at the end. I mean, like I said,
they usually don't happen at New Hampshire.
No, so yeah, definitely not New Hampshire. But like I said, we've seen some wild Indy finishes. I was saying that's where we go next. And I say, after everything that happened tonight, you come out with a 2-point lead over Bruno. So it's gonna be tight between the two of you. I mean, it's gonna be every
Crazy
bonus
stuff.
point, every lap led. I mean, there's so many things that are going to go into this after 12 races. So it's gonna be great to see. But before we let you focus full in on that one and enjoy tonight, we got to definitely give you the floor for any thanks and shouts for that win tonight.
Yeah. As always, thank you to everyone at Factory Back Motorsports, everyone who supports me there, including my teammate and boss man, Covey Moore, our sponsors, Canvas Shoes, CoveyMoore.com, Motorsport.com, everybody else who backs us. And, that's basically a dead heat entering the finale with just 2 points, and you were talking about bonus points. But if I could pick any track in the schedule to have a showdown like that, I'd pick Indianapolis. So I'm ready. Let's do it now.
I don't want to face you at Indy, Nick. I've done it quite a few times, and it's never an easy battle.
It's a hell of a track. I love that place.
All right, well, great job tonight, Nick. Go enjoy this one, and looking forward to talking to you again here soon, man.
Yeah, thank you guys, and kudos to Bruno. He drove a heck of a race there and almost made it work.
All right, that is our race winner. Again, probably the craziest results I've seen. Like I said, and yeah, definitely a little bit of one of those you expect some of those things at some races. Loudon usually don't see anything that crazy, and did not disappoint. There was great racing throughout the course of the race. Like I said, Eric Peterson. I mean, I think again he had a result that didn't show how good he was tonight. He was one of those few that could make moves from start to finish. So definitely big props to him. But we're 11 down here, Andrew. 1 to go. It's of course the Indianapolis Motor Speedway. It's gonna be a big one, and I say we'll definitely see probably at least 10 more cars than tonight. It's gonna be a lot of fun to watch. I say these cars race so well over there. It's so much fun, and then the strategies as well, because now you can short pit if you want, not lose a lap. There's gonna be a lot of strategies that could unfold here next week.
Yeah, Indy is always one of those courses where anything can happen, and guys that kind of peaked tonight that we didn't expect could peak next week too, and it would be a good momentum drive into the next season and see where we go from there. You know, if we had double the cars tonight, I don't think we would have seen the amount of action that we actually were able to see from the guys that put on the show tonight. So crazy stuff for sure. I'm blown away my own self. Like it's crazy what we watched tonight. The finish, the last stint, there was so much to watch up and down the field. Even though there's only 11 or 12 drivers on track, they still put on a great time. So, yeah, hopefully we see some big numbers at Indy next week, and we'll have a great race there, and we'll crown a champion at the end of it.
Yeah, it's going to be a lot of fun. And also, again, got to mention 40raceware.com. They're going to be raffling off a set of gloves, and that's going to be available to all those drivers that ran 10 or more of the 12 races this season. I'm looking through, and I see at least 14 drivers eligible, so that's going to be fun to see who's able to get that going. So I gotta start doing my homework and find the number randomizer, name randomizer, whatever we choose, and we'll do that live on stream after the broadcast. That way the drivers can watch that as well. And again, big thank you to Jim Herrick and all the guys at 40 Racer for that. So, Andrew, I'm so excited to see how this one plays out next week. Tonight was, again, beyond what I ever expected from New Hampshire. I expect some good racing, but not from start to finish, and not that ending as well. So, like I said, always appreciate you hopping in here with me. It's so much fun to do these with you, and I can't believe it's already the finale next week. It's going to be great.
Yeah, this season kind of flew by, honestly, and we got a lot of great guys in this league now. We got competitive racing up and down the field, from first place to 10th place to everything. So if we keep this going, we're going to have a lot to talk about in the upcoming season.
Yeah, it's going to be fun. So as always, I say definitely stay tuned. We'll be back on Thursday night. Same thing, second to last race of the Super Speedway Xfinity Series. They'll be at iRacing Super Speedway. And then same thing, Sunday night, trucks at iRacing Super Speedway. And then this Tuesdays will kick off the championship week. It'll be Tuesday, Thursday, Sunday, and we'll be crowning 3 champions, and we'll be also giving out 3 sets of gloves, again, courtesy of 40 Raceware. So, again, awesome. And, again, also there on that, if you're interested, you don't win a set of gloves, Area 5115, 15% off the gloves at 40raceware.com. So, Andrew, as always, appreciate it. Everybody that watches, supports us here at Green White Checker TV. Can't do this without you guys. It makes it so much more fun with all the input and everything. So hope you enjoyed tonight. Look forward to seeing you as well next week. So until then, take care, stay safe, and have a good night.